Please like video, subscribe my channel. The arena was shaking. Not metaphorically, literally shaking. Boos rained down like thunder as the cameras struggled to keep up with the chaos unfolding inside the ring. For men. For egos. One collision course that had been brewing for months. And now, it had finally exploded. Look at this. The commentator shouted over the roar. Karen Blaze and Dante Cross are going at it right after that cheap shot on Elias Storm. Karen Blaze smirked as Elias Storm clutched his ribs outside the ring. That cheap shot wasn't an accident, it was a message. A preview of tonight's main event. And maybe something far worse waiting tomorrow night. Dante Cross charged from behind, slamming Blaze chest first into the barricade. The impact echoed like a gunshot inside the ring. The crowd barely had time to breathe before another monster entered the frame. Ivan Volkov, the Iron Tsar. Volkov hoisted the reigning champion, Marco Vega, onto his shoulders like dead weight and dragged him toward the center of the ring. His eyes were cold, focused, hungry. Volkov is looking to reclaim the national crown. Ivan roared and drove Vega's spine first into the corner with a brutal northern collapse driver. Vega's neck snapped back on impact, his body folding awkwardly as he dropped. 1, 2 kick out. The champion barely escaped. Volkov slammed the mat. In frustration, he knew how close he was. The crowd stood, sensing history. Ivan climbed the TURNBUCKLE. High risk. High reward. And then, wait a second, a figure slid into view. Silas Kane. The referee's back was turned. Kane shoved Volkov off the top rope. The irons are crashed hard, skull bouncing off the mat. Marco Vega crawled into position, draping an arm over VOLKOV. 1. to 3. The bell. Reign stolen. Robbed. Done. Case closed. The announcer muttered grimly. The aftermath music barely hit before violence returned. From the shadows came Jackson Steele. Power. Furied momentum. He pounced on Chelsea Monroe, lifting her clean off the mat and driving her down with a thunderous powerbomb. Alba Frost tried to intervene. Big boot. Lights out. Jackson turned slowly, locking eyes with Jordan Valor standing at ringside. Watch this. He hoisted Frost again. Jaded. 1 to 3. Dominance. Pure dominance. The champion didn't celebrate. He grabbed a microphone. What was the point of that? Jordan yelled. To prove you can fight as long as it's not for the title. Jackson smirked. I spoke to Director Kane. I'm in the Women's Grand Rumble. The crowd erupted. After I win that. Jackson continued. I'll see you on the other side. He dropped the mic, then stopped. Or, he said slowly, since you're already warmed up. The crowd gasped. We can do this right now. The arena exploded. Darkness falsels where things turned sinister. Dexter Crow barely had time to react before the lights dimmed. A lantern flickered. Solo Rain stood in the shadows. No, not again. Tamakoa smashed Crow into the ropes. The lantern came crashing down straight into Crow's skull. Blood. Chaos. Fear. The cutthroat elbow followed. The champions fell. And your NEW World Tag Champions. The Dynasty. Solo Rain raised the lantern high. I told you, he whispered. All the gold comes back to the family. A masked betrayal. Nathan Flux and Johnny Valor fought like men possessed. Kicks. Knees. Desperation. Flux went for the springboard. Missed. Valor. Covered. 1, 2 kick out. Then the mask appeared. Confusion. Flux put it on backwards. Valor turned. Roll. Up. 1. to 3. Flux stole the victory. Words turned to war backstage. Kip Mercer stood smug. Someone has to clean up this locker room, he said. Men like Titan Fatu, like Marcus Cardo, they walk around without accountability. Cardo stepped in. What's your problem with me? Mercer sneered. That beard. That jaw. Those shoulders. Cardo blinked. Are you complimenting me? No, Mercer snapped. I'm calling out toxic masculinity. Cardo shrugged. Then step in the ring. Mercer clapped sarcastically or typical. Accountability shows up and you choose violence. Main event meltdown, final match of the night. Dante Cross versus Damian King. But it didn't stay that way. Cross smashed King through the announce table. Then into Elias Storm. To men. One collision. Back in the ring. Cross nearly had it one. Until disqualification. Elias Storm snapped. Fists flew. King warned him. Storm ignored him. Chaos swallowed the ring. And then trick shot. Dante Cross stood tall. Until the music hit. The crowd lost its mind. The serpent. Rylan Voss. Co. Silence. Then cheers. If Voss hits that tomorrow night, the commentator whispered, he walks into the rumble and walks out with destiny. The arena was still buzzing. Chants echoed off concrete walls. Security swarmed the ring, failing to restore order. Dante Cross lay on his back, staring at the lights, chest rising and falling like a war drum after battle. Rylan Voss stood over him. Cold, still, calculated. The serpent didn't celebrate. He never did. He simply looked down at Dante Cross, tilted his head slightly, and walked away. That silence said more than any promo ever could. Backstage, the fractures began hours later. The locker room felt heavier than usual. Damian King paced back and forth, fists taped, jaw tight. Elias Storm sat on a bench nearby, staring at the floor like he was replaying every bad decision of the night in slow motion. You cost me, King finally snapped. Storm didn't look up. You told me to stay out of your business, Storm replied quietly. You don't get to tell me what to do. King scoffed. That was my match, Storm stood. And that was my pain. They stood inches apart now, two men who once respected each other, now balanced on the edge of something ugly. Before it could explode, a voice cut through. Gentlemen. Director Kane. The room went silent. Tomorrow night, Kane said calmly. You're both part of the Grand Rumble. Handle your emotions there, or I'll handle them for you. He turned and walked away. Storm smirked. King clenched his jaw. The war wasn't over. It was just changing arenas. The Dynasty's warning in a dimly lit hallway. Solo Rain adjusted the lantern in his hand. Tamakoa and Kiri Vale flanked him like sentinels. The New World Tag Champions. The Dynasty. Cameras caught up just in time to hear Solo speak. They laughed when we vanished, he said softly. They prayed when we returned. He raised the lantern. This light doesn't guide, Solo continued. It exposes. Dexter Crow, the White Six, anyone who stood in their way. All the gold comes home, Solo said. One soul at a time. The lantern flickered. Then darkness. Jackson Steele doesn't wait. Crowd barely had time to recover before Jackson Steele's music hit again. Still in his ring gear. Still breathing hard. Still dangerous. He stormed down the ramp like a man who hadn't finished his meal. Jordan Veller stood in the ring, title over her shoulder, eyes narrowed. You want it now, she said, raising the mic. You think walking through Chelsea and Alba earns you this? Jackson stepped between the ropes. No. He said simply, it reminds you who I am. The bell rang without ceremony. No introductions. No mercy. Veller tried to strike first spinebuster. The ring shook. Jackson roared as the crowd lost their minds. Veller rolled to the corner, pulling herself up, firing back with elbows, knees, desperation. She went for the Valor Lock Jackson powered out. Lifted. Steel verdict. The referee dropped to count 1. To dash kick out. The arena erupted. Jackson stared at his hands, almost amused. So you bleed too, he muttered. Valor pulled herself up using the rope